Welcome to my video about Phaeton. Is it possible that humans evolved on a planet called Phaeton, and through some catastrophic interplanetary war, the planet Phaeton was destroyed? Why is Mars so heavily cratered on one side? Why is the asteroid belt not formed into a planet after all of these years? Billions of years of the solar system. How has the asteroid belt not formed into a planet? Is it possible the ark in which saved the humans from a flood was actually a spaceship in which saved humans from the destruction of a planet called Phaeton? Was there an intergalactic war between the planets of Mars, Phaeton, and Earth? The hypothetical planet Phaeton. Phaeton, alternatively Phaethon, is a hypothetical planet hypothesized by the Titus-Bode law to have existed between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter, the destruction of which supposedly led to the formation of the asteroid belt, including the dwarf planet Ceres. The hypothetical planet was named for Phaethon, the son of the sun god Helios in Greek mythology, who attempted to drive his father's solar chariot for a day with disastrous results and was ultimately destroyed by Zeus. The Phaethon hypothesis. According to the hypothesized Titus-Bode law proposed in the 1700s to explain the spacing of planets in a solar system, a planet may have once existed between Mars and Jupiter. After learning of the regular sequence discovered by the German astronomer and mathematician Johann Daniel Titus, astronomer Johann E. Bode urged a search for the fifth planet corresponding to a gap in the sequence. Ceres, the largest asteroid in the asteroid belt, now considered a dwarf planet, was serendipitously discovered in 1801 by the Italian Giuseppe Piazzi and found to closely match the empty position in Titus's sequence, which led many to believe that it was the missing planet. However, in 1802, astronomer Heinrich Wilhelm Matthias Olbers discovered and named the asteroid Pallas, a second object in roughly the same orbit as Ceres. Olbers proposed that these two discoveries were the fragments of a disrupted planet that had formerly orbited the Sun, and predicted that more of these pieces would be found. The discovery of the asteroid Juno by Carl Ludwig Harding and Vesta by Olbers buttressed his hypothesis. In 1823, German linguist and retired teacher Johann Gottlieb Radloff called Olbers' destroyed planet Phaeton, linking it to the Greek myths and legends about Phaeton and others. Franz Xavier Kugler wrote a short book titled The Sibylline Battle of the Stars and Phaeton Seen as Natural History. The central idea in Kugler's book is the myth of Phaeton was based on a real event. Making use of ancient sources, Kugler argued that Phaeton had been a very bright celestial object that appeared around 1500 BC, which fell to Earth not long afterwards as a shower of large meteorites, causing catastrophic fires and floods in Africa and elsewhere. Hypotheses regarding the formation of the asteroid belt from the destruction of a hypothetical fifth planet are today collectively referred to as the disruption theory. These hypotheses state that there was once a major planetary member of the solar system circulating in the present gap between Mars and Jupiter, which was destroyed by one or more of the following hypothetical processes. It veered too close to Jupiter and was torn apart by its powerful tides. It was struck by another large celestial body. It was destroyed by a hypothetical brown dwarf, the companion star to the Sun, known as Nemesis. It was shattered by some internal catastrophe. In 1953, Soviet-Russian astronomer Ivan I. Putilin suggested that Phaeton was destroyed due to centrifugal forces, giving it a diameter of approximately 6,880 kilometers, 4,280 miles, slightly larger than Mars's diameter of 6,779 kilometers, 4,412 miles, and a rotational speed of 2.6 hours. Eventually, the planet became so distorted that parts of it near its equator were spun off into space. Outgassing of gases once stored in Phaeton's interior caused multiple explosions, sending materials into space and forming asteroid families. However, his hypothesis was not widely accepted. 2 years later, in 1955, Odesson astronomer Konstantin N. Savchenko suggested that Ceres, Pallas, Juno, and Vesta were not fragments of Phaeton but rather its former moons. Phaeton had an additional fifth satellite, assumed to be the size of Ceres, orbiting near the planet's hill sphere, and thus more subject to gravitational perturbations from Jupiter. As a result, the fifth satellite became tidally detached and orbited the Sun for millions of years afterwards, making periodic close misses with Phaeton that slowly increased its velocity. Once the escaped satellite re-entered Phaeton's hill sphere, it collided with the planet at high speed, shattering it, while Ceres, Pallas, Juno, and Vesta assumed heliocentric orbits. Simulations showed that for a Ceres-sized body to shatter Phaeton, it would need to be traveling at nearly 20 kilometers per second, 12 miles per second, which is also the speed of the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. The disrupted planet hypothesis was also supported by French-Italian mathematician and astronomer Joseph Louis Lagrange in 1814. Canadian geologist Reginald Daly in 1943, American geochemist Harrison Brown and Claire Patterson in 1948, Soviet academics Alexander Zaoretsky in 1948, Vasily Fesenkov in 1950, who later rejected his own model, and Otto Schmidt died in 1956. British-Canadian astronomer Michael Ovenden in 1972-73, and American astronomer Donald Menzel, 1901-1976 and 1978. Ovenden suggested the planet be named Krypton after the destroyed native world of Superman, as well as believing it to have been a gas giant roughly 85 to 90 Earth masses in mass, nearly the size of Saturn. Some scientists and non-scientists continue to advocate for the existence and destruction of a Phaeton-like planet. Zecharia Sitchin suggested the goddess known to the Sumerians as Tiamat in fact relates to a planet that was destroyed by a rogue planet known as Nibiru, creating both Earth and the asteroid belt. His work is widely regarded as pseudoscience. The astronomer and author Tom von Flandern held that Phaeton, which he called Planet V, with V representing the Roman numeral for 5 and not to be confused with the other postulated former fifth planet, not attributed to the formation of the asteroid belt, exploded through some internal mechanism. In his Exploded Planet Hypothesis 2000, he listed possible reasons for its explosion: a runaway nuclear reaction of uranium in its core, a change of state as the planet cooled down creating a dense phase change, or through continual absorption of heat in its core from gravitons. Von Flandern even suggested that Mars itself may have been a moon of Planet V, due to its craters hinting exposure to meteorite storms and its relatively low density compared to the other inner planets. In 1972, SMF Studios produced an animated short film titled Phaeton, The Son of the Sun, directed by Vasily Livanov, in which the asteroid belt is portrayed as the remains of a planet. The film also has numerous references to ancient astronauts. In fiction, the hypothetical former fifth planet has been referenced in fiction since at least the 1800s. In science fiction, the planet is often called Bodia, after Johann Elert Bode. By the pulp era of science fiction, Bodia was a recurring theme. In these stories, it is typically similar to Earth, and inhabited by humans, often advanced humans and occasionally the ancestors of humans on Earth, following the invention of the atomic bomb in 1945. Stories of this planet's destruction became increasingly common, encouraged by the advent of plausible-seeming means of disintegration. Several works of the 1950s used the idea to warn of the dangers of nuclear weapons. The concept has since largely been relegated to deliberately retro works. Where do comets come from? Water doesn't just form in the vacuum of space, water forms in an atmosphere on a planet. So how are comets balls of water floating through space if they did not originally form on a planet? Well, comets would make perfect sense if that planet were Phaeton and the planet were destroyed. Why do humans have bad backs? Because we are not used to the gravity of this planet. Why are human children not able to walk almost immediately after childbirth like every single other animal on the planet? Why do humans not have fur, and yet we get sunburned as though we are supposed to have fur, or as if we are used to a planet that does not have as intense UV light? The human circadian rhythm is about 25 hours, and yet we have 24-hour days on this planet. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Any of your theories on this planet or any other conspiracy theories you'd like to see me make a video on.